The second thing is, those guys who think they can take a cigarette out of there, but never forget, smoking kills. Smoking my cigarettes kills quicker. In the 2000s, or beginning of 2000, somebody found out that this lazy, dirty thing is something you can save money or maybe even earn money. So they plug it in. Then our whole industry came into being. All of us rely on those guys plugging in. From 2002 to 2004, we had this period where the almost bi-weekly disaster message, whether it was Sasser or Blaster or Love Letter or Nimda, Code Red, whatever. So actually we were all pretty sure the end of the world is near. But eventually we found out that if we do things properly and in a smart way, we can control things. We can contain the damage. The world did not end.
The milestones from an internal perspective were actually the release and the speed how we integrated as a bigger company and to the launch of our Austrian bred technology as a worldwide available product, but the rest was pretty evolutionary.
From a Barracuda perspective, the acquisition helped us move into new markets, as Wieland's talked about. Both the higher end enterprise NG firewall market, but also, a typical Barracuda approach where we were able to even move farther down market with it in a unique way. I think there were other, what I'd call, intangible benefits that Barracuda got out of the acquisition, which is we strengthened our overall position in Europe. We weren't as strong in Europe across the geographies, and Fian brought a lot of the European market to us, and we got a management team across the business, not only the NG firewall segment of the business, but sales leadership, support leadership, training, partner leadership. So we strengthened our entire hand in Europe, and our revenue for last year in Europe was up 31% year over year. And we feel good about this coming fiscal year that we're in right now, too. And I think a large part of that is being driven by a lot of that core Fian management team that came on board as a part of the acquisition. So we definitely just strengthened the entire company and our European presence out of the acquisition.
This is my first time in front of the EMEA audience, and so it's a privilege to be here. I've been with Barracuda for a little over 18 months. I missed the conference last year as we were in the process of taking Barracuda public. And so I apologize for missing last year. We had a little bit going on, but I'm very excited to be here.
Zero trust means you do not trust users. You do not trust internet service providers. You do not trust IT people handing tapes. You never trust governments. And you never trust single enforcement points.
That governmental agencies or whatever, they're just a role model of criminal energy or of, let's say, of energy put into undermining security attempts. I mean, they put a lot of effort into weakening encryption implementations. And of course, the 2000s were full of discussions about how to establish a trusted computing platform and hardware and whatever. But eventually we found out this will never ever exist, because there are people on this planet who fight and with a lot of effort and energy to undermine such efforts. So we have to find ways to deal with the fact that we will never have utterly solid ground beyond our feet, below our feet.
Users turn from losers to ideals. Huh? I really invented that word. I'm still surprised because it's so obvious. And at least the sales guys of you belong to this group. You know? You're all still stupid. You have no clue what you do with your equipment. Just because you think you do. It's not true. But nevertheless, you act as if. Some 10 years ago, most of you thought it's okay that the IT guys take care of your notebooks. In the meantime, just because you managed to still call somebody with a computer, you think you're smart. No, you think you're administrators. You think you're IT experts. And say, I don't need these IT guys. I can download my apps, whatever you want. Just like my mother. Horrible. But this is something that cannot be turned back.
I think the most from a technology perspective and from an architectural perspective, I think the most challenging thing currently is cloud adoption. So all the different flavors, how people start to use cloud-based things and secure them, because it's long away from being a settled thing, a predictable thing. So the biggest challenge for IT responsible person and for us as suppliers is that it's very hard to predict what exactly will happen and how many people would rather go the Azure Amazon way or focus more on service-based cloud, to Office 365, and all these different areas use a little bit different ways to secure them. And the biggest challenge for us is to maintain a comprehensive security approach to build a zero trust infrastructure, to be able to provide as many components as possible to remain a consolidated approach to solve those issues.
Attackers are driven by profitability. They want more money. Yeah? How do you do it? Increasing impressions. Make sure more people look at it. But also new revenue models. Ransomware, crypto locker, for example. As a business, reacting to that is a very difficult balance. You need to balance privacy, you need to balance the user desire. We want to go to cloud, we need to have iPhone connectivity, iPad connectivity, tablets, you name it. And also the threat environment, it changes constantly. And then, last one ties in with the zero trust environments from Wieland. You need to protect your apps, your data, and consider your users, even my father, as not trustable.
Actually, in Austria, we have a significant higher market share than we even have in the US.
Yeah.
So Austria is actually globally our strongest market. Unfortunately, even if many Austrians don't really want to accept that, but we're not the biggest country. So it doesn't make us a global dominant player, but
it's an important market.
But it shows what's possible. And several markets actually are are strongly competing against Austria's position in the sunshine, especially Switzerland, but also the Middle East, and Germany and the UK as well. And I mean, in this conference, you see that that actually the dominance, the traditional dominance of Austria and southern Germany is actually on a decline. I mean, I think only 35% of participants are from Austria and southern Germany, and 4 years ago that used to be 80%.
To varying degrees, there's parts of Europe who are probably ahead of the Americas in terms of cloud adoption, and there's areas that are playing catch up as Wieland talks to. So, you know, I think there's certain parts of the technology stack that vary between regions. And I also think in Europe, from our vantage point, there's definitely a larger role that partners can play in terms of managed operations. Data sovereignty drives the ability for partners to drive a particular set of services to their end users around storage. And certainly I think we've seen a willingness from European customers to allow partners to provide managed network services, managed security services to those customers also. So, and those drive some, you know, product roadmap things that we've got to do to continue to enable the products to scale for those types of services and be managed, multiple customers be managed by a single partner, which has traditionally been a strength of ours, so it plays well into what we're doing.
Simplify doesn't mean dumbing down. It doesn't mean trying to solve less of the problem. It means trying to understand your problems and solve them in a powerful but very efficient manner that allow you to deal with maybe cost constraints or staff constraints. How can you do and solve your problem for less money with a very efficient staff, and so you can do more for the business? This drives our product philosophies.
What Barracuda never did was closing down a development office. Mm-hmm. So in Nottingham, there was a small company called 3SP that was acquired for its technology, and guess what? We still develop SSL VPN technology in Nottingham. Right. That's actually one of the things that I never get from a European perspective, because most American companies, when they acquire technology, other technology companies, they leave the development teams intact. Why? Because every technology CEO knows that if you move technology, it disappears. Mm-hmm. Actually, it is a European disease when European companies acquire European companies, or also American. They tend to close down other offices. I mean, Siemens did that a few times, eventually finding out that moving people is not as easy as moving intellectual property, and the intellectual property without people understanding and developing it just disappears.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Gregor Weihs.
A former student colleague of the FIAM founders, and he decided to remain a physicist and spent quite a long time in the US and Canada, and came back as a professor, actually as the successor of Anton Zeilinger in Innsbruck. And he started his career with Anton Zeilinger, and he was the guy who was actually doing the first beaming experiment on the planet.
I think that quantum computers will become a reality. I cannot tell you when, but I think they will. And if it's simply for the fact that some people will be really, really keen to have a thing that could break your encryption. If that's the motivation, if there's motivation, people will do things. Second thing is, that I said already, that quantum key distribution solves this two-party key exchange. It does not solve the whole, public key infrastructure problem. If that breaks down, we don't know how to solve that. You can buy short-haul QKD devices ready for you to use. You don't have to worry about the details. But anything that's long distance being more than 100 kilometers realistically, does not yet exist. So that has to be done on satellites or with, I don't know what new hardware that doesn't exist. And so with that, let me just thank you for listening, and I hope you can have lunch now.